Hey everyone, it's Kristal, and I hope everyone is being safe out there. We were really lucky that we had a few episodes in the vault before everything got shut down. Unfortunately, last week's episode was the last of those episodes, and this next episode is our first remote recording. And this is just a heads up that the sound quality is not where I would like it to be. We tested out our system and thought we were ready to go, but unfortunately, not so much. I thought about skipping a week, but it's just such a fun episode, and I've listened to some other podcasts as other people are figuring the same thing out, and trust me, it could be a lot worse. You can be sure that we will fix this issue for future episodes. Hopefully you'll stick with us. Until then, enjoy this slightly glitchy episode all about a staple among Black aunties everywhere, waiting to exhale. Hey everybody, welcome back to Black Card Rehab, the show where we go from zero to black one episode at a time. I am joined by my white friend Paige. Hi Paige.
Hello. Hi.
Paige, who is, as if you're listening to this podcast regularly, you know, often blacker than I am. So Paige, on a scale of 0 to black, how are you feeling today?
Oh man, I am feeling attacked by this movie a bit, but that's okay. They had it coming. I would say this movie has two villains, and it's men, and then just below that is white women. But
Sure, yeah.
like just
Sure.
below. But yeah, I'm gonna say I am feeling young Donald Faison in this movie.
Ooh, okay.
Kind of like, you know, freewheeling, but ultimately good at heart.
Yeah.
And Kristal, on a scale from 0 to black, how are you feeling today?
I think I am feeling any Angela Bassett monologue ever.
Oh my God. Boy, does she have them. Like, this movie, if this movie highlights anything, it's A, how frighteningly beautiful Angela Bassett is, but also B, how much better her monologues are versus Whitney Houston's.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's
okay.
like two different people wrote this movie.
So let's get into it. So today, if you haven't been able to tell, we are reviewing Waiting to Exhale, a movie that I failed to watch because I was a child. I feel like that I cannot stress that enough. It was 1998. I want to say a freshman, and look, you know, maybe I didn't have the right aunties and, you know, big whatever cousins around and to peep me to some game, but I missed this one.
I hate to disappoint, but this movie came out in 1995.
Oh, it was 95? Oh, yeah,
you were even younger, yes.
Even younger. So, yeah, I was, oh my God, I was in 6th grade. What the hell?
Yeah, 1995, I was 8. So, I feel okay for missing this first time around.
Yeah. But the reason why I had 1998 in my mind is because I've also pulled this up because I had Forrest Whitaker directed
this movie. Yes.
But also it just took me down this rabbit hole of other movies that he did, which the movie that he did direct in 1998, Hope Floats.
What?
Yes.
See, I didn't fall down that specific rabbit hole, but I did see his name in the opening credits and then was looking for him the whole movie. And I was like, where's Forrest Whitaker in this? And then when I looked at Wikipedia later, because I was like, I have questions. That's when I found out he directed it. And that's also when I found out that this movie is set in Phoenix.
Fucking Phoenix. Honestly, that's the biggest reveal of all.
Girl, I'm not the first 40 minutes of this movie. I'm like, this is a very Southwestern looking,
Yeah.
and I was like, where is this movie supposed to be? And then like, you see Angela Bassett's house in the middle of the friggin' desert. And I was just like, is this Los Angeles? Like, does she live in like Palm Springs or something? But then the other houses don't look that way. Like Whitney Houston's house looks like it's in San Francisco. And I'm just like, what is happening? And then I pulled up the Wikipedia and it's like set in Phoenix. I was like, Phoenix? What?
Oh my God. That,
wild.
and they don't address it at all. Like,
never. No one ever says Phoenix.
I feel like it's like, okay, I don't know why, but this made me think of other times in movies where you're like, you kind of get annoyed because they are addressing, they feel the need to highlight, oh, this couple they're gay, or this couple is, they're mixed couple, and they highlight it in a weird way. And you just get tired of that. You're like, well, these things just exist. Why can't they just be in a movie or be in a film without it being like highlighted like this? You know what I mean? Right. And this, I felt the exact opposite, where it's like, how you gonna just drop 4 Black women in Phoenix and not talk about it at all?
No, I'm gonna take you one step further. At one point in this film, Whitney Houston goes to what is ostensibly a nightclub that looks like a restaurant for 60-year-old white women who go to painting parties. And it is filled with Black people. There's not a white person in attendance. And for Phoenix? Like, that's what I was
also without the internet? Like,
okay, that
each other
got to me after the second or third time when someone met somebody and was like, it's nice to finally get to meet you. Our answering machines. I was like, oh my God, this is before the internet. They're all going to get murdered. Every single one of these people is about to get murdered by a person that they have never seen, that they have only talked to on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, when I read Phoenix, I was like, I've seen a total of 2 white people in this entire film.
Yes.
And you're telling me that it is set in Arizona? Like, which Arizona? Not the one I know of. So crazy.
At no point did they at all mention Arizona.
Not at all.
I know you're obsessed with.
I'm very, well, to be fair, Arizona is at least 2 to 3 hours away from Phoenix. Yes. And I don't know how motivated this crowd would be to have bears very close to their cars.
Yeah, it seems like a very anti-Black moment.
It's a pretty white activity to just be like, nature's not going to hurt me, right? Like that's what white people do on their free time, is test the limits of nature. Haven't you seen Tiger King? Like, that's our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Phoenix was wild. That got me. What also got me was I was convinced that I had seen this movie like 10 plus years ago. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, at the end, Angela Bassett burns that car. And then to realize in rewatching it that is 18 minutes, because I timed it. I was like, how long is this movie been on? She is torching a car from the jump at 18 minutes in. And I was like, what happens in the rest of this movie? Like, I've clearly not seen this movie at all. I am completely perplexed. And then literally right after that, we get into Robin's encounter with a man that I can only describe as cosplaying as Cedric the Entertainer. Which her parade of people she is sleeping with.
Yes.
I don't know. How does this movie manage to give the most exposition, but none of the essential exposition?
100%. I would agree with that. Because there was so much that maybe if I had been like there was so much that maybe if I had been watching or read the book, like I
Yeah.
would have had some more insight into what's going on for these characters, like
Right.
especially Layla's character.
Yes.
Like I was like, are we just supposed to assume up top that she has low self esteem? Because I don't
Yeah.
see any indication of that
Yeah.
besides the fact
She's a
that the
business
mansion.
owner.
I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And also, like, even if you have that low self esteem, where you're picking dudes that are like not at your level, like the amount of theatrics that she does for this guy who's like clearly just happy to see a naked woman. I'm like, why would you go through all like the lingerie and like creating a moment? I'm like, girl, just take your clothes off. Like the dude will be happy. Like, what
It
are we
was boggling my mind because her voiceover, which by the way, I haven't seen this much voiceover in a
Oh my, yeah.
movie in my entire life. It's the only time. And in the beginning I was trying to do the good film student thing of like, there must be a reason why they made this choice. And my initial thought was actually kind of like my
You gave her the
initial
benefit of the doubt.
I gave them the benefit of the doubt and I was like, well, when you think about it, all of these women are in situations where their voice is not heard. And so in a
Okay.
way,
Okay.
we're kind of seeing that in the voiceover. And if you want to extrapolate that out societally, it is very notable that we are looking at a group of all African American women whose voices are not necessarily heard as much as they should be. And maybe this is kind of this cinematic personification of them having an interior monologue in a life and a place where they do not feel that that monologue can be exterior. That is giving way
Wow.
too much credit to this film.
I honestly, I think so. I think this was like maybe her first screenplay. I this is what I thought of too is like it's not just internal monologue. Like Angela Bassett, like I don't know if you realize, but like she delivers an entire monologue where she's like,
Yeah, with no one
grab
there,
too
out
close.
loud, too close.
What? And I'm
Which,
like, good for you because you
yeah.
fucking killed it. But
Oh,
also,
she's
who are you talking to?
amazing. Us. I think it's us. But, and I think it's maybe an attempt to bridge the gap between the book and the movie where it's like, this is
Exactly. Yeah.
information that you need to know that we don't have time to get into. And I think, God, I mean, there are times in this movie where they switch from talking out loud to immediately going to voiceover. And there's a hot second where I'm like, did they just ADR this wrong? Is she supposed to be talking to the people who are there? Or is she supposed, are we not, who is hearing this? Like,
Yes.
who are they talking to?
The thing that I obviously while Angela Bassett's part is going, I'm obviously thinking of the Mary J. Blige song,
Yes.
"Not Gonna Cry," which also happens to be part of the soundtrack of this movie.
Oh, the
And
soundtrack of this movie is amazing.
the soundtrack is amazing. The levels are not right. Like sometimes people are talking and you could fully hear the lyrics of the song playing in the background.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, do they hear that too? Or is that just for us?
Yeah. Is this, so there's actually, there is a film school word for that.
What is that?
It's referred to as diegetic or non-diegetic sound. So diegetic sound are sounds that we, the audience, hear, but the characters in the story also hear it. Non-diegetic sound is like the score. It's what we don't hear. And there are a few movies where something transitions from one to the other. Like a really famous one is the movie Almost Famous, where there's a song that starts playing and we think that it's just the score, but then everyone in the scene starts singing it. So that, and it's rare, but it happens. But in this movie, the sound mix is so bad, you're not 100% on what they can hear versus what you can hear, compounded with the voiceover, which is non-diegetic, but is splashed just constantly. So you're not really sure who's hearing what. And I would say that certain characters have much more interesting and compelling voiceovers than other characters do.
Yes. Which, like, example?
Angela Bassett's amazing. Every single thing she has in either voiceover or actually spoken, this movie is her movie. I know it's supposed to be an ensemble cast. No. This is Angela Bassett's movie, and she is so astoundingly gorgeous. I can't believe anyone would ever leave her. And then the crazy part, and this is what even more so because, and this is what I was about to look up when we started recording. In looking at the Wikipedia, I'm looking at the list of like the cast list because I wanted to confirm that we were seeing our boy Leon, which we were.
Yes.
But if you get all the way to the end, it says Kelly Preston, uncredited as Kathleen. And I was like, where the hell was Kelly Preston in this movie? Kelly Preston, wife of John Travolta, Scientologist of note. And I think, and I'm trying to confirm, I think that Angela Bassett's husband is leaving her for the girl she slaps in that boardroom. I think it might be Kelly Preston, and I'm trying to confirm. I think it is. I'm trying to freeze frame it because she turns and she's like, I've got the reports for blah, blah, blah. Yes. Oh my God, it is her. It's Kelly Preston.
Oh, cute.
So, yeah. So there's a movie. So wild. She's the most basic looking white woman. Every white woman in this movie might as well be faceless, which is hilarious. Funniest thing in the world. There's really only two of them. And Kelly Preston exists in this scene solely to say the reports are what, and then stand up and get slapped so hard by Angela Bassett, her head goes clean around. She goes owl levels, just like. And then I was looking for the whole scene. She like floor, like she does not get up. And you don't see her leave. And so you have to imagine she's there where they're just like screaming over her unconscious body. It was so great.
And also, like, the whole movie kicks off with her getting ready. Like, she's already ready to go out, and he tells her that she's not going with him.
You're like, this could have been useful before I showered, asshole.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's pure dag nasty evil. Like, that guy is like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. Like, she's going through his suits. His closet looks like it's about to be on an episode of MTV's Cribs. Like, yeah. It's displayed. And I was like, no one's shopping here. Why do you have this displayed? It's your closet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I really was trying to put myself back in the like, I don't know, I guess the mindset of like the 90s, and my main thing that I kept coming up against is like, these women are supposed to be like around our age now. Yes. And yet I feel so much, I still feel like a kid compared to these women. Like, I don't feel like I'm that womanly or that adult, you know? Like,
yeah, and I guess what I would wonder, I mean, at least two of the four main characters have children and either are or have been married in the past. And so I wonder if it's more of just a cultural societal difference that we're seeing, because you and I are freewheeling adult ladies in the people's gay public of Drugifornia. where we are not married. Well, I'm married. I'm I am recently married. We co-parent a cat, and there's not a lot of that truly family stability as far as our immediate lives and partners. I think
I felt like I was like, oh, did people just expect more of women in the 90s?
I think so. Maybe. I was watching it and I was rooting for Angela Bassett because I was like, she's the best. And then I also like I mean, I would say I feel the most like Whitney Houston, but then not really.
You mean because you can act?
No, because
I was just kidding.
Because she can't.
Okay, let's wait. Can we just take a moment to acknowledge that at one point she is counseling one of her best friends to stop dating somebody who's on crack?
Yes.
In this movie.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
I was like, oh no.
Now, I also was slightly confused because the movie, specifically with Lena Rashad's storyline, introduces so much information that may or may not be connected. So she's like, that guy did crack, and then she like talks to Russell. He comes over. It's Leon. He looks amazing. Everybody loved Leon. And then for a minute, I was like, is he the one on crack? Because that's the best looking crackhead I've ever seen. But then the next day, that guy shows up who she's saying he's drunk, but very much playing what I would refer to as like an improv 101 crackhead. And
he throws an orange at her.
While saying, because I wrote it down, have a fruit bowl tramp.
I didn't even hear that.
I heard it and I was like, what? I rewound it because I was like, did I just hear what I thought I heard?
Yeah.
Sure enough, I did. I do also want to highlight the fact that he's complaining that it's hot outside, and that's because he's wearing a full leather ensemble that consists of leather pants and a leather vest, no shirt. No shirt under it. Not at all.
No, but I was primarily distracted in that scene by the swelling string. Like at that point, the sound design takes like a hard left.
Yeah.
And switches from R&B music to like, it's like an orchestra. And I can't understand why. Like, I was like, is this a seminal moment for her? Like,
I mean, what boggled my mind. So, and again, maybe this is something where if I read the book, I maybe would have maybe this would make more sense if I read the book, but I feel like I don't really understand what her character's roadblock is to finding a good relationship, aside from just her picking badly, which it kind of introduces.
Or she's in fucking Phoenix. Like, what? Why are we never talking about the fact that
own a full leather outfit in Phoenix? Because what like boggled my mind about that scene is I'm like, if you get to fuck Leon, if that's your dude, and that's the one that she's quote unquote truly in love with, if you can have that whenever, why are you bothering with the dude throwing oranges at you? And the score seems to underscore it. Like, have you ever seen like Old Yeller, where it's like, go on, don't you see I don't want you anymore, leave, go on, get out of here. It's kind of like that, where it's this like this strings of like look, this is so tragic and sad. He's revealing his true character. But this is the first time we've ever met that guy. Like, we had no real preamble to that guy's deal or their relationship.
He was there.
Oh, I guess that's right.
Yeah, because he took her to this party that she didn't want to be at.
Right.
She was wearing that really, like, amazing white dress that's, like, tied.
Yes,
like,
where it's got the ties in the set. Every piece of clothing in this movie is amazing.
Yes.
But, like, that introduction is not enough for us to have definite feelings about him having some weird character trajectory. Where, like, we haven't gotten to know him enough. And I guess that was Whitney Houston's point. But I'm not tied to him as a character. I'm tied to her. And I guess I'm excited to see her standing up for herself, but it doesn't seem like much, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I think if I had, I'm trying to figure out, like, it's so hard watching things like this, you know, like after having seen all the things that I have seen, and I've seen, like, what movies can be, you know, like, and my taste has developed and my expectations have changed, and even seen, like, what specifically Black artists are capable of.
Yeah.
And I felt like it's just very uneven. And I feel like it actually made me sad, because I was like, if I had grown up watching it, I could just have the nostalgia for, like, the quotable moments.
Yeah. Like,
you know, like, we all
have a fruit bowl tramp.
Yes, but, like, you know, when we had Cornelia on, like, this was a movie that she brought up, and it's like, it seems like she has an emotional like, I wish I could go back in time and have that emotional attachment to I have some emotional attachment to some of the songs that I heard in the movie, but not, you know what I mean? Not any of the scenes.
Well, and here is something that I felt, let me know if this is consistent with your experience, I guess. In watching it, I had this feeling of, this is what every, like, Black ensemble cast movie, female ensemble cast movie since is trying to be, where it's got a very, like, I kept watching it and feeling like I was seeing snippets of other movies that are more recent in it, where I'm like, I feel like everyone's trying to be this. And at one point, when they're all in the salon, I was struck by how similar it was to even, like, Steel Magnolias. And I was like, I'm really interested in now the book to see, like, how that dynamic plays out in the book. There's got to be more in that book that we're just not seeing on the screen, that they're trying to give us via voiceover, that has kind of that, you know, integral ensemble feel. And I think what's really interesting is to see kind of echoes of it since.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that comes to mind in terms of, like a well done movie kind of weaving together several storylines is, I really love The Hours. And that is it's weird, because there's something about, like, this movie that feels like there's such very different stories happening that it almost feels inconsequential that they're friends, other than the fact that, like, we want to see that. Like,
I kept asking myself how they knew each other, and the only thing I could come up with was the salon, which is Steel Magnolias essentially, but I was like, but we're hardly ever in the salon.
Exactly. I feel like there was only one or two scenes.
Yeah. And I was like, is the only thing that connects them the fact that they all go to the same place to get their hair done, which, if we're looking societally, I mean, maybe that is the thing, you know? But there's a part of me, and this may be my white experience, where I don't go to the salon as often. And so I know my stylist, I know about her family and her kids, but, like, I don't know anybody else there, you know, especially because it's, like, part of the Scientology building. So It's kind of weird that I go there at all, but like, you know, that's just not necessarily a consistent experience for me, but I don't know. And how
Yeah.
did they, well, I guess, okay, here, this was the web I think I mapped out in my brain. Whitney Houston and Angela Bassett have been friends forever,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah, that's really funny. Yes.
Angela Bassett gets her hair done by Loretta Devine,
Mm-hmm.
who also does Robin or Lena
Mm-hmm.
Rochon's hair.
Mm-hmm.
But Lena Rochon seems to just be hanging out there like during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But then that other stylist who we never see again, he's the one who ran into Angela Bassett and told them about the divorce.
Right.
So they're not necessarily close enough that she would call, except for
Yes.
Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to me, I think the one time that we really see them as like friends enjoying each other's company, and also is like the thesis statement of the movie of like, men are the problem, is an hour and a half into the movie. And the
Yes.
movie's only 2 hours long.
Well, I would like to point out that maybe like within 5 minutes of the movie starting, they do actually, somebody verbally refers to the title.
Yes. Yes.
And it was Whitney. And then she does it again later.
She does do it again later. Oh my God. We haven't even talked about the guy using her toothbrush.
Oh God. Yeah.
I took notes on that whole interaction. I was just like, what the hell is happening here?
And then she's still.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Here, just, I have bullet points. I have written down in order. First, it took me 40 minutes in a Wikipedia article to realize this was set in Phoenix. Great. Then I just have toothbrush, jobless, stoner, hot dogs, no change. He didn't bring her back the change. And then no foreplay. But the best part about that entire scene is her face.
Mm-hmm.
Just over his shoulder. It's the best acting she does in the entire movie.
But the thing is that at one point, is it during that scene or, oh no, it's when she is like, oh yeah, with the guy that she really wants to end up, the president from 24.
Dennis Haysbert, the one who's going to sell me insurance?
Yeah, the State Farm guy.
Yeah, there's a new commercial that like, you know, save 15% or whatever. Yeah.
So there's a moment where I think she's with him and like it's the first time you see them making love. And I was like, what is that noise happening? Like, and then it took me like a minute to realize, oh, this is her exhaling again. Like they put in a long, like a like over, like it's not her in the scene. It's like,
yeah,
like I was like, oh my God, it's supposed to be her breathing again. Oh yeah, that's right, because it's called waiting to exhale. Okay, got it.
Well, she seems to be the only one that talks about it, that really verbalizes that idea of holding your breath for something great to happen and then essentially waiting to exhale, which makes me wonder, is she the main character of the book?
Right.
Is she supposed to be the main character of this movie? I don't know that she is. I mean, and maybe this is just me loving every second of Angela Bassett on the screen, that I'm just like, this is her movie. But at the same time, I'm like really invested in Loretta Devine's story with her and Gregory Hines, and I was like, I'd watch a whole movie of just this.
That is another one that I really loved. I loved that, and I loved Angela Bassett. I love the Loretta Devine story because I think it's really fascinating to watch somebody struggle with what they thought would work for them in life, which is like sticking to a path, sticking to the rules, doing, a certain thing a certain way. and just believing that that would lead you to life working out, but realizing like life is life. Life isn't, doesn't fit into this box. And are you going to turn down what life is offering you because it doesn't necessarily fit?
Right.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah, I feel this way about pretty much every ensemble movie. I feel similarly about Love Actually, where
Mhm.
whenever you've got all these multiple stories going on, I feel like I end up enjoying half of them,
Mhm.
which for me makes it not super enjoyable as a movie. But I felt this way about this one where I love Angela Bassett's story. I cannot take my eyes off her when she's on the screen. It's every
Mhm.
second's amazing. And she looks like she hasn't aged a day. And I don't know what sort of magic she's using, but I like she is the poster child for Black Don't Crack because she looks the same. It is wild. It has been 25 years since this movie came out. But then also Loretta Devine's story, I feel like I'd watch both of those together as a
Mhm.
movie. And I feel like you could almost make a really interesting movie of this idea of really investing in yourself as opposed to sacrificing for everyone else, because that's really at the cornerstone of both of their stories, where
Yeah.
Angela Bassett can't do her catering and Loretta Devine has given up everything to raise her son and to make sure that he is okay and everyone else at church and everything is okay. And there's really this concept of now they need to take a step out and really make a choice for themselves. I feel like that's a movie.
Yeah.
The other two, I'm like, okay, they're kind of here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Layla's story could be there. It's just we don't ever find out what it is that
Yeah.
is her thing. It's just like it almost is like the conceit is they want everybody to be like, well, you always have that friend. It's like that thing that comedians do. Like everybody has that friend that like just can't get it together. It's
Yeah.
like you have a whole movie to tell us why she can't get it together.
Yeah,
Like,
that doesn't happen in a vacuum,
Mhm.
where like there's a reason she can't get it together. And it's because she loves Leon and like how could you not? But
Nah.
um yeah, there's not a concrete explanation really of why she chooses the things that she does, of why she ever slept with that drunk guy, or like why she allows people to throw oranges at her while wearing an orange dress. Um, there's not real, we don't get to know her very much at all, which I think is a little troubling because essentially we get to know her as an archetype, but not as a person.
Yeah, and her life has the biggest consequences. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I
everything in
mean,
this episode is a spoiler. Sorry, everybody, but like,
if you haven't seen it by now, you had 25 years. Um, now, here, let me pose some time travel to you.
okay.
What if she was Loretta Devine in the past?
You're so stupid.
I mean, I know that's not happening in this movie. My brain is just trying to rewrite this movie. And I'm like, how does that story fit in? Well, if that child then becomes Donald Faison, then we've got a story. Now we know that self-esteem and putting other people's desires and wants first before her own have been a pattern and something that she needs to break. We even see it with the first guy, where the first guy, she's like, I don't want him touching me, and then she sleeps with him. It's like, you don't have to. No one's making you. He doesn't have a gun to your head. He's just pretending to be Cedric the Entertainer for some reason, to the point where I had to look up to make sure that it wasn't Cedric the
You're so
Entertainer.
funny. I've seen that guy in other stuff,
Right,
so I
because
guess I
I was
wasn't.
like,
Yeah.
that's not I was like, this has been 25 years. Maybe Cedric looked different when he was younger, but like that, it looks enough like him, but it's not him. But I feel like that story makes sense to me too, where it's like she does all these things, then she ends up with this baby, and it perpetuates it until now, towards the end of her life, she has to make these. I say end of her life. I think Loretta Devine's like 40 in this, but like it gets to that. To me, is a coherent story. I feel like at the end of this movie, Angela Bassett learns something. Even Whitney Houston learns something. Loretta Devine learns something. And Layla Rashad kind of learns something.
And just to, well, actually, sorry, just to like, this is just an aside to tie us to some other things we've been talking about. I've been rewatching A Different World because it is on Amazon Prime every season. Yes. And I had forgotten that Loretta Devine was in A Different World. She is like kind of the den mother for Gilbert Hall, where Denise moves her sophomore year, which is where they start the season. Yeah. And she's like really cute and like your little high pitched voice. And it's just like, yeah, she's there that first season.
She's cute here. And it was bothering me the entire time. I'm going to have to go look it up after this because I've seen her in a million things. But there's like one thing specifically, and I was like picturing it in my brain. I was like, she is in one of my favorite movies. What movie is it? like I know I've seen her dozens of times in a million different movies, but I have like a very specific brain picture of her. And now I cannot think of what it is or I'm going to have to look it up. But yeah.
But yeah, so sorry, going back to that moment where Whitney decides that her body needs this man more than she needs to be with somebody who isn't going to use her toothbrush.
Oh God. Has that ever happened to you? That's never happened to me.
There's a comedian, Angela Johnson, who she has a bit about when she first gets married to her husband. And I think she said something about how like he dropped his toothbrush one time or lost his, and he was like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll just use yours."
See, Mary,
and she goes, wait, like that's an option for you? Like you're not even thinking twice about it? Like
I give it a pass when you're married because I know my husband and I have definitely at least once shared a toothbrush.
We're gonna get hate mail for this.
I am absolutely sure it's only once that I can remember, and it was on vacation where one was lost. We weren't unable to get one, but it was not first choice. But here's the thing: this is a person that she is. I mean, it's clear they've been on a few dates, but also he's the one who like brought another girl to that first date at the restaurant or the club in the middle of Phoenix full of Black people. And
you never understand like what exactly happened there though. Like
we never get any additional information. Although he says he's like, I've been wanting to do this to you since New Year's, which is the party we see at the beginning.
Yeah.
We don't really know how far in the future this is, but also, why the hell are you going to let that dude smash after he brought another date at New Year's? Like,
yeah.
What?
And also he growls.
And also, well, okay, I give the growling a pass because depending
what's going on in your house?
Hey, you know what? To be honest, I think it fits a little bit better at my house. It's not great. His is weird. That's so weird. It's put on like that is he is going full Tiger King.
Yeah.
But here they've clearly been on a couple dates, but you shouldn't be sharing toothbrushes after a couple. I mean, you should never share toothbrushes as a norm, but like definitely not after a couple dates only. And you should always foreplay. There was no foreplay. Kick him out of your house.
So there's a guy, it's obviously a male, I can tell, who wrote a review of this movie on IMDb. Um, and the title of his review is "Frustrating." ... He said, "That's the word I'd use to describe the film, an adaptation of Terry McMillan's 1992 bestseller. It's not great, it's not bad, but it's frustrating to watch. And the fact that I'm of the male persuasion undoubtedly has something to do with it."
Okay.
But I was just thinking, like, there are a few times where like they do have these, either monologues or there's dialogue about like what's wrong with men these days, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And it's just like all of this, quite honestly, would be a lot more understandable and palatable to me if they were not in fucking Phoenix. I cannot handle the fact that they're like, your pool already must be so small. Like,
Yeah.
so you're already, what? I mean, if you're only dating black men, if that's what you're interested in, it seems like that's what they are,
Right.
according to this movie, then your pool is so small. Like, so you can't really blame the men. Why would, I just feel like the whole
Go
movie
to Oakland. Go to Atlanta.
it was untenable. I couldn't understand. I was like, yes, of course.
Oh man.
Never addressed, not once.
Party Down. Sorry,
that's the movie.
It's a TV show that she was in. Yes, and she's been on Drag Race a bunch of times, but yeah, specifically Party Down.
And she originated one of the characters in Dreamgirls.
She absolutely did.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she's on Drag Race all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She's usually on their either Snatch Game episodes or their acting challenges episodes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've met her a couple times.
She seems awesome.
Yeah, she's cool.
I would be scared of Angela Bassett. I want to meet her, but I also am like, you open hand slap that white lady almost to death. Healthy fear. Okay. Did or did not her ex-husband look like Michael B. Jordan in the future?
Oh, that makes me very sad.
He looks like he was played by Michael B. Jordan, who is Benjamin Buttoning now to younger Michael B. Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, okay, but speaking of attractive men, Wesley Snipes is in this movie.
And he looks amazing. He looks better than Leon.
So
I'm going to say it. He looks better than Leon in this movie.
And he's so good in this movie. Like, actually, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. I
sobbed. I started like that. See, this is why Angela Bassett's story is the best in the movie. I was like, when he's talking about his wife and how much he loves her, and I was just like, so beautiful. Yeah. I didn't realize there were going to be vampires in this, and now.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes was in there as, I was trying to, he's uncredited.
Which blows my mind, because that's how I found Kelly Preston. I was like looking through the list and I was like, where's Wesley Snipes? And then it says Kelly Preston uncredited, then Wesley Snipes uncredited, and I'm like, but he's a full-blown character in this movie. Right.
And so I was doing some digging, and it sounds like part of it is the fact that is a way for like movies with a little bit smaller budgets to get around, paying like exorbitant salaries if the actor's willing to do it as a favor. So it seems like he went credited, and like, I mean, not that he got zero money, but like probably took a different type of deal than he would have if he was on the bill, and just did it as a favor to
Because
these
if he's
guys.
doing it as a favor and he's not credited, then he's not subject to union costs,
Right.
probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's probably exactly what it is.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and apparently it's a thing
Interesting.
that a lot of people do. But I was just like, wait, why would Wesley Snipes, who by then, wasn't huge, but he was like a name. I
Huge
was like,
star.
that's weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's why.
I mean, this is literally like, this is Wesley Snipes' heyday. This is 1995.
That's true. Yeah.
Like,
That's true, yeah.
career-wise, by
Yeah, he was
then
hot.
he had done, oh my God. Yeah, like White Men Can't Jump is 1982. Demolition Man is 93. Tu Wong Fu is 95. So this is the same year he did Tu Wong Fu.
Oh,
But
I
yeah.
love to. Yeah. So wait, I actually. So you pointed out your favorite line. I'm gonna find my favorite line. I think my favorite line
Yeah.
was, oh yeah, it was something that Loretta Devine said. Oh yeah. So I didn't remember when this came up, but I'm pretty sure it was Loretta. Yeah, it was Loretta Devine. Somebody said something to her, and then her response was, "Oh, that's right. It was when she was getting bored with what was happening. She was like, I could be home watching Good Times."
Yes.
And I was
Be
just
home
like,
watching Good
that
Times.
is so fucking funny. Like the fact that like like she's out with friends,
Yes.
like
Yes.
and yet whatever they're doing is so absurd to her that like
My favorite is seconds after that happens, literally seconds, when Angela Bassett's on the dance floor and she says, "How do you feel about her new haircut?" And Leela Rashawn is like, "I don't like it." And she's like, "Yeah, I don't like it either." And then Whitney Houston's like, "I think it's all right." She's like, "Yeah, it's cool." the immediate flip.
Okay, so what see, that makes me sad again, because that was such a funny moment. They totally could have exploited as her character throughout, like,
Yes.
and kind of played it as this recurring bit. Like you kind of see, oh, she's a little bit of a ditz, but like there's no other point at which they like kind of refer to that again. But
yeah, I mean, she has no opinions of her own, is what's happening. So much so that
moment.
yeah. Oh my gosh. It was wild. But yeah.
Okay, so if you watched it again, like would you be fast forwarding?
No, because I feel like I missed things. Like there's so many things that are just kind of introduced without a lot of preamble and without a lot of information. I almost want to rewatch it and be like, did I miss a place where this was talked about, or where we had some more information about why she was sleeping with someone doing crack? Like, what did we ever see them do crack? Did I miss that somehow?
He did it with the white guy at a party with like with weird
white devils. I feel like I must have just been distracted by that amazing dress in that scene.
It was funny because she like walked in the party and like immediately was like, "This is not for me," but she never said why, other than like she just didn't feel like she fit in. And I was like, is it because there's no other Black people? Because I feel like that's why you don't feel comfortable.
Okay.
But you're not saying that. Like,
no one says that. No one is like, it's Phoenix. That's why. That comes up earlier in the movie too, because when Angela Bassett is throwing all of the stuff in the car, one of the things that she mentions is, "You made my children go to school where they're the only other Black children so that they wouldn't have a bad influence, but you're the bad influence."
Oh, wow, yeah.
Now I'm like, well, yeah, because it's Phoenix. But then I'm like, where are we finding all the other Black people though? Like, Like, we're seeing these instances where there aren't any, and where there really is a need to kind of, like, even in his board meeting, he's the only one, you know,
Mhm.
that he and her stand out in that board meeting because there are no other Black people.
Mhm.
And those kind of things, I'm like, well, yeah, it's Phoenix. But then we see scenes where it's like entire club full of Black people. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, where are these people the rest of the time? Like,
Yeah.
clearly they also work in the world.
Mhm.
Can you believe that fat nerd had the audacity to contradict her after she slept with him?
I mean, what the hell?
Now,
These
and
men. These men in
that
Phoenix,
sounded
apparently.
this sounded horrible and fat phobic, and that was not my intention. I found it interesting that all he wanted to do was sleep with her. He was like happy to be there, super excited. And then the next day he's like, well, actually, in this report, like, bitch, do you want anyone to touch your dick again? Ever?
She put on lingerie for him, which is
She
like more than
lingerie.
most people deserve. Like,
She put on lingerie, and here he is ruining her fantastic presentation, which she has clearly prepared and researched as a woman at the top of her field.
what I do want to say though is, there is a lot of like, bashing whites, but I just want to give a shout out to that white firefighter that just let Angela Bassett close the door on him after telling him it won't happen again. And wow, what an
that scene so
MVP.
much. I, I feel like that firefighter's inner monologue was like, no, I'm not going to get into it. Like, this is clearly she's been through a lot. And I mean, if she says it's trash, I can't tell her it's not trash. But yeah, when she closed the door on him, I was like, wait, you're allowed to do that? I don't think you are.
I literally gasped. I was like,
he's like,
oh,
ma'am,
man.
But then he doesn't, like, because all I kept thinking was, like, in real life, they'd be knocking on the door again, like, hey, that's not how this works.
Yeah, exactly. I was
there's
like,
a lot of
the scene just,
paperwork.
I was like, I guess
Yeah.
everything's okay. I guess Angela Bassett is free. Like, okay.
When I was thinking, I was like, yeah, at the end of the movie where she burns the car, and now realizing that it's in the beginning of the movie, as she's burning it, I was like, so does she spend the rest of the movie in jail, or? And it's just never addressed again. And they're in the middle of a bitter divorce, and she just burned all of his assets, and then sold the rest for $1. And I was like, how are there no consequences for this?
And they never bring it up. Like, I would be like, well, they never high five over it.
No, I mean, she's
like, I would have, if I had oh my, Paige.
Yeah.
If you ever set a man's car on fire, I'm high-fiving you every time I see you. What the fuck? Like, I'm calling you Firestarter from now on. Like, that's your name. And what?
I wish Left Eye was still with us so we could high five her today. But like, here's the other thing too. We don't get a ton of information about their divorce and how it's going. And when somebody like leaves like that, it's not just like, okay, I guess that's over. Except for that one time when she meets with that lawyer who, for lack of a better description, is wearing a jacket that looks like it's meant for people who lead choirs. But she's wearing it in the office, but is pulling it off.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm just like, this is a lot of look, and I'm here for it. And she's like, it's going to be a fight, but I'll try my best. And then we never hear about it again.
We never hear about it again. And then when we do, that's when we find out like how much money was involved. And like, it's like, yeah, I get it. He owns a company or whatever, but like, I didn't know he was balling like that hard. Like, and it wasn't until the end when they mentioned like, oh, he's got this house in this place and in another country and, you know, cars. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. I mean, yeah, I'd be fucking pissed. Like, give me that information up top. Like,
Do you
I'm
think
not going to
she
get all
knew?
this. Yeah. I mean, that's why she went after it.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I got the impression
Freaked
that
out.
because I was wondering if he was doing that thing of like he has the extra houses because that's where he keeps the mistresses.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man, Men in Phoenix, truly. I feel like that's what this episode is about. Well,
Whitney Houston is a television producer in Phoenix.
In Phoenix, and we didn't even talk about her mommy, but
Oh, that was her.
messed up.
That is so wild. I like her mom's like borderline crying, like, why are you throwing your life away? And I'm just like, Mom, this is not the advice you're supposed to be giving. Whoa. Oh,
well, I
man.
think I think I would watch it again, see if I missed something. It definitely feels like I mean, it's been raining a lot lately. It feels like a rainy day movie, you know, like I think ultimately there are issues. It's you know,
Yes.
but I would recommend it. It's like it feels like a touchstone.
Yeah.
You know, like not like
It's
like the world's gonna change, but like
yeah. It's not hard to watch, and by that I mean it's compelling. You're interested in what's going on, and there are some genuinely really good performances in it. There are some story problems, and you know we went over a lot of it, but it's not unpleasant as a movie. Like sometimes when movies are bad, you're just like, how can I even get through this? This is not one of those movies. I can see why people like it and why it became a touchstone because it's easy to watch. It's interesting. There's so many famous people in it doing great. It is a horny movie. Like there are definitely this is the perfect aunt movie.
Yeah, the perfect aunt. I love that.
Like if you have an unmarried auntie, this is her movie.
I think I'm right now in this moment coming up with a rating system for when we do these movies.
All right.
I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 hair picks.
Yeah. No, I think that's accurate. I was a little surprised by the amount of relaxer in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think because there's a barbershop involved that I was just like, man. And then I remembered it was the 90s and I was jealous of all their fashions. And
well, it didn't look like
makeup.
Angela had a relaxer. It looked like she had, or at least initially she just gotten it pressed.
Yeah.
She had just gotten it straightened, which is why Loretta was so upset that she was cutting it all off because she had taken such good care of it.
Yeah.
So it was like super long.
I like it short though. I liked it both ways. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. 3 out of 5 hair picks, I think, is pretty accurate.
Awesome. Well, yeah, this was fun. I think next time we'll probably do 5 Heartbeats.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This made me want more Leon than ever.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can get Cornelia to get back on with us too.
Yes. That would be so much fun.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to Black Card Rehab. Please write us a review, rate us 5 stars, and tell somebody about the podcast, especially in Louisiana. I feel like there are Black people in Louisiana and they might want to listen to this podcast.
Or Phoenix.
And I keep seeing, or fucking Phoenix. I feel like we're going to get whatever, you know, like
so many emails.
I didn't write this movie, so
I'm blacking in Phoenix. How dare you?
But yeah, thank you for listening, you guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll be black next time.